Welkom terug by die groot ontbyt. Ons gesels vandag 'n bietjie oor oogsorg en ons praat spesifiek oor die plek waar jy jou bril koop. Nou ja, ons gesels vandag met Nivien Subramany. Sy is die president van die Suid-Afrikaanse die SAOA, ja, en sy is ook optometris, en Yurisa Naidoo, sy is die voorsitter van die Professional Board of Optometry and Dispensing Opticians. Nou ja, ons gaan 'n bietjie by hulle hoor oor waar mense brille koop, en hulle sê hulle is baie bekommerd oor die feit dat mense wat brille koop dit op onwettige of onoffisiële kanale doen. Good morning.
Good morning, Pierre.
It's lovely having you here this morning. We have to figure out first, you say that people sometimes buy glasses and optometry from places that are not regulated or not safe and healthy, obviously for them because of that. Let's first start by who the PBO, it's a long thing, PBODO is, and what your role in this matter is.
So thank you. I'll go first. The PBODO is the Professional Board for Optometry and Dispensing Opticians. We're a board under the Health Professions Council of South Africa. We regulate health practitioners that are registered with the board. So optometrists and dispensing opticians and orthoptists are registered. So if you're not registered with the PBODO or the Health Professions Council, then you cannot legally practice your profession in this country. So we are here to protect the public, essentially, and we set standards for the provision of eye care and the provision of optical devices.
Thank you, Yurisa. And Nivien, we have to figure out the South African I'm always confused with this. The SAOA. Please tell us more about you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the invitation. Let me help you there. It's the South African Optometric Association.
Optometric.
Fondly known as the SAOA. And the SAOA is a professional association representing optometrists and dispensing opticians in South Africa. Our membership consists of practitioners from various sectors, such as independents, group practices, franchise opportunities and models, those employed by the public sector, those that are involved in academia, like your universities and industry. The association's primary objective is to accommodate the interests of the profession itself, advancing the profession and, importantly, serving the public. It's important to note that our association turned 100 years last year, to 2024, and we had a centennial celebration held at the Empress Palace.
Nivien, why is it so important to have your eye tested at a registered practitioner?
So our sight, as we see it, is one of the most delightful senses, right? And yet it is often taken for granted. You just need to take a moment to consider the impact of healthy vision. So if you look at something like your surroundings, the ability to be able to drive a vehicle, for you to be able to be educated, for employment, for productivity, amongst others, and consider the detrimental impact of of having impaired vision. And to answer your question directly, it is important that there are many thousands of South Africans who are needlessly blind, and needlessly blind because 80% of blindness actually is avoidable. It's therefore important for South Africans to undergo comprehensive vision and eye health examinations by a registered on an annual basis. And this provides an opportunity for us to be able to actually detect any early issues, diagnose any underlying pathology, and then obviously provide suitable options and appropriate preventative and cures for the public themselves. In addition, we have the dispensing of optical devices, which are in fact medical devices, and Yurisa will fill you in a little bit more on that. And these are actually spectacle lenses, frames, contact lenses, are all considered as medical devices and are registered. Most importantly, dispensing of optical devices should only be conducted by a practitioner who has a good knowledge and health of patients and is registered again with the Health Professions Council.
Yurisa, this is something that we have to talk about because we're focusing today on the dispensing of medical equipment in your field. But before we get there, let's talk about the services that you provide to dispensing opticians.
I think, well, dispensing opticians are a cadre of eye care practitioner who are a bit different to optometrists. So let me just give you a little bit of background about who's who in the zoo, in the eye care zoo. Optometrists are trained to do refractive error detection. So we train to find out refractive problems, so vision-related problems, ocular health-related problems. We train to diagnose these and to manage these to a particular extent. So some optometrists have the ability to do what we call diagnostic testing. So we can use particular eye drops in the process of testing that enables us to do a higher level of diagnosis. And some even have what we call therapeutics registration, so they can actually treat certain eye conditions. And the Health Professions Council, or the board, the Optometry and Dispensing Opticianry Board, actually regulates that. So we have a register for that. We establish standards for the categories, and all these things help to protect the public. Now, a dispensing optician is not trained to do eye testing. They can detect diseases because they're trained in recognizing diseases and certain eye conditions, and then their role would be to refer the patient to an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, or even an ophthalmologist for that matter. But the dispensing optician can work independently because they can do vision screening and they can actually also manufacture. So they're involved in the manufacturing of spectacles and spectacle lenses. Some of them are involved in the manufacturing of contact lenses as well. So they're trained in industry-related standards. They take measurements. They ensure that the optical measurements that are used to make up a pair of glasses or even to make contact lenses are correct and well suited to the patient. And it may seem like an almost irrelevant thing, but when these measurements are not correct, they can actually have implications for vision. So not only visual discomfort, but particularly in children, for worsening of vision in particular.
We have to talk about, I think, about a blurring of the lines between dispensing and diagnosing. But we'll talk about that later on. We're just going to break for the news, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that more and about the regulation of that and the dangers that we are facing as the public by buying devices that might not be regulated. Nivien, before the break, you spoke about the fact that about getting your eyes tested, the importance of getting your eyes tested at a registered practitioner. If I have to go and get glasses now, which dispensary do I go to? How do I know that the dispensary that I'm buying my glasses at, my medical device, is actually registered?
That's a good question, and I think the public actually needs to know this. So optometrists, as Yurisa has already explained, are trained professionals that do eye examinations and care for your visual health. Dispensing opticians are responsible and they work within the ambit of an optometric practice. So they are technically not allowed to practice on their own because that is out of their scope, but they work with an optometrist on an optometrist prescription. So any optometrist that is registered, like I said, whether they are in group practice, franchise, individual practice, private practices, they are the people that you should actually go and see, firstly, to have your eyes examined, and then secondly, for them to be able to provide you with the correct spectacles that they've found for you that they can dispense to you. So a dispenser would then obviously work with the optometrist and provide the spectacles, the lenses, and in an instance where you would actually need contact lenses or vision training for that matter. So a registered optometrist.
What are the risks if people go for eye tests at unregistered optometrists or get their glasses from people who are not registered? What are some of those health risks?
Can I come in?
Yes.
Please, Jennifer. Okay, just one quick correction on what Nivien said. Dispensing opticians are allowed to actually work independently. So they do work in optometric practices and they can work independently as well. We don't find that many working independently anymore, though, because it just makes better business sense to be part of a group practice in that sense. So coming back to what you had asked, Jennifer, can I ask you to please just repeat that and then I'll come in again?
I want to know, what are the risks? Are there health risks specifically if the public goes to someone that's unregistered? Is it that they don't have enough knowledge? It's just some kind of risk that they can't fall back or make cases if something goes wrong. So what are the risks involved if someone does go for eye tests to a practitioner that's not registered?
So everything that you mentioned are risks. So yes, indeed, if you are not registered as a practitioner, then there's no assurance to the public that you are actually properly qualified, that you're practicing to the standards that are set by the Health Professions Council in order for you to be able to provide a good, high quality level of care to the public. In addition to that, optometrists and dispensing opticians actually offer the provision of this optical device called a pair of spectacles or contact lenses, and there are other optical devices as well for conditions such as low vision, etc. So we go through a process of ensuring that there are standards in the way these devices are manufactured, because the labs that actually manufacture them and the wholesalers are meant to be registered with SAPRA, the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, and that ensures that there are standards maintained in the actual manufacture of the device. But in addition to those things, it's not just simply about getting the right pair of glasses and the correct measurements, etc. There's also the fact that when people purchase things through a shortcut, then they don't seek the eye care that is necessary. And there are certain eye conditions that can result in the loss of vision if undetected, because they don't present with blurred vision or they don't present with pain or any sort of irritation. And specifically, I'm mentioning glaucoma here. So the eye pressure can be increasing, you won't know about it. And then when you've lost at least 80 to 90% of your vision is when you first actually detect something's wrong. There's other conditions like diabetes and hypertension that can actually result in, again, vision-threatening conditions, and it's only when it's too late that you realize something's wrong. So a registered person will be able to help you, to advise you in respect of when and where to get your eyes tested properly, and to ensure that your eye health is actually good, in addition to having a proper pair of spectacles or an optical device that is quality assured.
Yurisa, would you say that buying glasses from a counter at a pharmacy, where they're all hanging, everyone sees them nowadays, that's the way it's done, would you say that is a good choice? Would you say that that should be allowed? Because now we're talking about, we're wondering about where the lines are getting blurred now. Are these devices do they need to be dispensed directly by a dispensing optician or optometrist? Or does someone physically have to be there to tell you that these pair of glasses, that's going to work best for you? Or can we say, but I know I've got a 1.5, I can choose one from the shelf. Is that now illegal?
So it's not illegal, Pierre, but it is not advised, because it is the ideal situation to have somebody advise you on what is appropriate for you. And it's not just buying them over the counter, but there's also this online sale of optical devices that has been actually very rampant and is being promoted by social media influencers. That's one of the things that has prompted us to embark on this media campaign to advise the public that it is not advised for you to just purchase your glasses online. There are also regulations that govern the purchase and the sale, or sorry, not the purchase, but the sale of optical devices online. So if you purchase an optical device, whether it's contact lenses or spectacles, it actually should be sent to an registered eye care practitioner, either a dispensing optician or an optometrist, and that person then needs to dispense it to you to ensure that you're receiving the correct prescription as prescribed by the prescribing optometrist, and that the product is meeting quality standards.
Okay, so Nivien, you'd say that it's not a big issue buying glasses off the shelf at a pharmacy, for instance?
Well, as Yurisa said, it's not illegal, but it's not advised, because I have had a patient who walked into my practice and he said, "Can I get a pair of reading glasses?" And this is my personal way of doing things. I don't just sell reading glasses. So I advise, let's please do an eye examination, only to find out that the gentleman had glaucoma, which he had no idea of. So over and above just doing an eye test, we are more concerned about the visual health. And Yurisa has alluded to the fact of glaucoma, we have age-related macular degeneration, we have hypertension, we have diabetes. And since optometry and optometrists are your primary eye health care and vision practitioners, we're able to detect these. Now imagine you walk into a store and say, "Okay, fine, I need a plus 150, but you don't realize that what is going on." Yes, you go to your doctor, you've got maybe hypertension, you've got maybe diabetes, you take those medications, but you don't know the implications of that on the rest of your body. So personally, no, I wouldn't say that it's advisable, but it's best to see an optometrist.
Yes, that is obviously the thing that we all need to remember. Nou ja, onthou nou, as jy gaan brille soek op die rak, kyk tog maar eerder na jou oë. Laat hulle toets. Gaan na mense toe wat geregistreer is en kwalifiseer is daarvoor. Thank you very much, Nivien and Yurisa, for joining us this morning. It's nice to know that there are people who still care about the industry and about the consumers.